All right, so Mr. John, what's been going on with you this week?
Let's see. Lots of work, like a shit ton of work, like nonstop. But in between then, I started painting again, started writing, reading a really cool book, and playing a game that I'm loving more and more the deeper I go. In fact, I only have one gripe with it.
Are we talking about the game we talked about the shit out of last time?
Correctamundo.
All right, well, you can bring that up in a sec because that's actually on the itinerary again, so we'll talk about it then. So please hold that thought. Anything else going on? Oh, what have you been reading? You said you were reading a book?
Oh, yeah. I started reading more Halo books because Johnny got me like a ton over the past few years. I just haven't caught up.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm reading this really cool book called Move Underground, which I've been recommending to people, but apparently it's a lot harder to find than I thought.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's Jack Kerouac meets the old one.
Is there like is it like digitally available?
I don't know. You know, let me see.
Just because if it is,
I
I
guess
guess that would
right?
be the best suggestion at that point. If it is a hard to find in print, you know, tell people to read the digital version. But yeah, that's cool.
Let me see. It is. Oh yeah, it is. Cool. $10 on Google Books.
There you go.
And I highly recommend it.
All right. Anything else?
That'll do it.
All right, Josh.
Things.
That's it. Yeah, that's my week.
As for me, let's see. Well, can't play PSO2. That shit's broken.
What a surprise.
I need to figure out how to fix that. What the fuck else?
Did it do the issue that it has like the PC version where it just deletes itself?
Well, the thing is I need to do a reinstall.
The whirring noise in the background, by the way, that's Josh's phone. Just in case you guys are wondering what that sound is in the background. No, because sometimes I can hear a lot of the idling noise. Oh, yeah. So I'm just explaining what it is, because sometimes I'm just like, I'm not going to make post notes.
Yeah, it's just me spinning my phone.
Yeah, he's Josh's fidget spinnering his phone around. But anyways, so trying to fix PSO2.
Yeah, I want to do a reinstall, but I can't delete from the Windows app folder. Because it's stupid. Yeah. So, can't do that. Still messing around with Animal Crossing. I was going to tell you, I played Celeste.
Nice.
Haven't gotten too far.
Okay.
But, it's a pretty neat game. It's hella satisfying once you figure out
how to some badass stuff off. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about it is there are, in multiple places, there's sometimes several ways you can solve it, so it's always nice getting your own little flair in there and being like, I did it this way.
Yeah. One thing I really like about the game is it kind of reminds me of Mega Man X, how the levels kind of teach you how to play it. Mm-hmm. So that's really neat.
Yeah, it's always nice. It's nice. I'm happy, though, that you started it at least. Hopefully get through there, because the narrative is really good, so I'm very curious what you think of the story as it goes on.
Yeah.
Pretty deep game.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Bloodstained. I'm trying to think what else. Pretty sure there were a few other things that I messed around with too.
Mm-hmm.
Can opener. Yeah. Bloodstained, Celeste. Can't play PSO2. Shit. I think that's the majority of the gaming stuff I've been messing around with. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, still slowly going through Last Drive-In with Joe Bob on Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
That's been pretty interesting. Recently saw a movie that had Tiny Tim in it. Apparently it's one of the only... No, actually I think he was in... Yeah, he was in some Howard Stern film.
Oh.
But that was
my exposure to Tiny Tim is just SpongeBob. That fucking Dancing in the Moonlight, whatever the fuck episode. That's my only real exposure to Tiny Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's interesting. Yeah, apparently he was like popular for a little bit and then just like really declined.
Doesn't he have some skeletons in the closet?
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Apparently he was a very kind of like lonely individual.
Oh, okay.
Like very kind of kept to himself kind of thing. So that was interesting. They were kind of talking about a lot of stuff about him during that episode. They even had a guy who like wrote like a biography thing on him, who's over there. And they even showed a clip where Tiny Tim watched an episode. I guess it was one of Joe Bob's shows where he was talking about the movie. So that was kind of neat because apparently, like the film just like flopped. Like nobody talked about it when it came out in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that does it for me.
Mallory. Oh.
It's been kind of a busy week. I got my gaming computer back. I got my gaming computer back up and running.
Nice.
This week. Started playing CSGO. With a few friends, which was fun. Been reading a lot. I'm working on reading. So my boss gave me this good idea about reading 3 books a month, which one is just for like your pleasure type of book. The other one is a classic, and then the other one is a workbook. So right now I'm reading like 4 books at once. And then played a little bit of this Friday the 13th puzzle game on Steam, which is a really cute looking game. I know. It's because I was looking at Five Nights at Freddy's. My nephew sent me something about it.
Oh, okay.
And he really wants me to buy that game again. I don't want to. And then I've been writing, been working, trying to, stay positive during all of this since San Antonio is yet again shut down. That's fun.
Yep, because it should have never not been shut down to begin with.
I mean, it still doesn't really feel like it's
Godzilla Dust is here, so that's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I'm trying out Rocket League later today with some friends. There's a whole bunch of games that they want me to play on Steam with them, so gonna start doing that.
There you go. Rocket League's fun.
And that's about it. I read today that Microsoft is shutting down all but 4 stores.
Yeah, that's a weird.
So what they said in the article, it came from, and I sent it to you just now. Let me pull it back up. So what they said is that they're keeping 4 stores open. They're going to revamp their New York, London. Sorry, it's being really stupid trying to pull it up. They're revamping 4 of their stores, but they're going to take out every other store because they're going to a digital front. They're only keeping. So they're only keeping their London store, their New York store, their Sydney store, and then their Seattle store.
That's weird.
But they're reimagined stores, so they haven't really stated what that's going to come, like what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they're going to an all-digital platform for everything else, so didn't give too much detail. But I sent it to you so you can link it below if anybody wants to read it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're closing all their stores other than those 4.
That's weird because, well, I have another story. I'll bring it up. I'll come back to that later because that's related to another story. But yeah. But yeah, anything else for you?
No, that's been about it. How's your week been?
Pretty good. I pretty much just did one thing, even though I had planned to do a bunch of things. So basically all I did was pretty much play Pat from Castle Super Beast got me into Legends of Runeterra, which is Riot Games. Because Riot Games, we talked about it a few months ago, Riot Games is going to do a fighting game, card game, and then they're doing their Valorant Overwatch-like. This is not very good. However, even though Valorant's bad, Legends of Runeterra is very good. The main appeal to me whenever Pat brought it up was that it's the most truly free-to-play game, because the problem with a lot of free-to-play games, from what I hear, I know Josh has talked about Duel Links, and then I know that this is just the case with other card games as well, is that if you're gonna really get good at it or really get into it, you pretty much have to spend money. The grind isn't necessarily viable to get really good at it, which is a problem with a lot of these quote-unquote free card games.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's still in the early games because it's only been out for a little bit. It was in beta like a year ago, and then it's actually out now. And but so far, so good. It looks like it truly is viable to grind it out, and you really don't have to spend any money The cosmetics and stuff are nice, so it is tempting. I probably will, but like you don't have to play the game because functional wise, there's not really much you can buy to get anything you need because you can't buy specific cards. You can't go, oh, I need this ultra rare meta card. It's $100, but I can buy it. You can't do any of that dumb shit. You have to be like, you get a chance at it. It's not a lot of money, but you get a chance at it. But your chance of getting it obviously varies. But yeah, no, so far so good. I've almost built one of the what's in the meta right now, an S tier deck. I'm almost done with that. I just need like 5 more cards left, and I pretty much almost grinded it out in a day. So definitely reasonable. And again, the only real things you can buy is pretty much just cosmetic, and then a chance at several cards, which is cool. And that's pretty much it. Just because I played Sonic Forces for a little bit, but all I really did was make my OC and put a mask on it, and that's pretty much it. And then I was going to play Pillars of Eternity, but then I didn't, so there's that. And then in non-gaming related news, before we get started there, LG announced that their earbuds that were originally going to be released in South Korea, primarily in the Asia market, is actually going to be coming to the US now, especially given the current time. It's very relevant for it to be there, which is they're going to be introducing their self-cleaning earbuds here. Every time you're putting it in it's your typical AirPods style headphones. There's a million of them now. It's not even just AirPods. I think the last time I checked, there was 1,560 variations of wireless headphones that are the exact same style, which is you put it in the case and it charges it. The main difference with this one is LG utilizes UV cleaning. We have a water cooler at work that does the same thing to keep it clean, where it cleans itself via UV lighting. So whenever you put the buds away, they're also being 100% cleaned, and it kills 99.98% of bacteria, which is pretty good. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. For those wondering, retail, you're looking at about $50 over AirPods, which is $200 total. But considering that extra function, knowing you're going to have them clear earbuds, because that's the thing. The average person doesn't realize they should clear their earbuds all the time. I know John and I rock the Galaxy Buds, and I don't know if you guys run wireless earbuds, but for anyone who does, you really should keep those clean for 2 reasons. Not just as it's sanitary, which is reason 1, but B, if your nasty ass ears, for those of you who produce a lot of earwax, you actually fuck up you're not hearing your music very clearly because the damper of the sound through that layer of wax in your gross ear is destroying the sound of the music even. So you're actually fucking up your own music while you're doing it. So clean your buds, clean your ears, and wear a mask. Those are the main important things that you're going to take away from this prologue. But yeah, LG makes pretty good sounding stuff, so if the earbud quality sound-wise is good, I'd consider upgrading to those, even though I have a Samsung phone, so, there's that. But whatever. Speaking of which, I probably am going to buy a new phone this coming week. I'm debating between just going all the way in on the Note 10 Plus or waiting. Well, I'm not going to wait for the fucking Note 20, because the Note 20 Plus is going to be almost, the one I want, like the terabyte one is almost $1,700, so I really don't want to get that one. But I'll probably get the Note 10 Plus. Seems cool. I jury-rigged a Bluetooth setup in my car, so everything's wireless now. Wireless charging, wireless audio, so everything's good there. But yeah, other than that, that's that. And before we get started, Josh, where can everybody find you on the internets?
Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, @JoshiroJoestar, YouTube, ShiroPlay5.
Mallory?
You can find me on Instagram at awesome_melon.
Johnny Boy?
And that's
Twitter and Instagram at and _ Evil Dead Guy, respectively.
Alright, and you can find all my stuff at ZDRocker at all the places, SlimNationEntertainment.com and DisconnectedCast.com. Alright, so going back to what Mallory was saying, Microsoft closing a ton of stores, leaving only 4 alive, which makes no sense if you're switching to a digital front, which is basically just Amazon, because the Microsoft stores sell your Surfaces, your Surface headphones, all that good stuff, your physical goods. So switching it digitally, all that really means is online store only. Mm-hmm. The weird thing about that is, then why keep the 4? Are those 4 stores, is the stores in Sydney, London, Seattle, and New York, really thriving? Because the physical market, the brick and mortar store market really is down. Ever since things like Amazon have taken over, a lot of brick and mortar businesses, tons of fucking family businesses and independent businesses are all dead because they can't compete with Amazon. And thus, even bigger chains like Lowe's, Walmart, and everything are also suffering. Because if you can have something dropped off at your door the next day, as opposed to having to go to a store with a bunch of coughing, non-mask wearing fucks, why would you? Right? So it's one of those things where it only makes sense. So I don't see the point of keeping the 4 stores open. I really would like to talk to Microsoft's marketing head in that sense, the one that's in charge of the store, just to see like why. What is the strategic market here to keep 4 stores alive instead of just killing them all off? So speaking of layoffs, of course, that's not... Oh, what's up?
I was going to say, if I may, I actually had this discussion with one of the GameStop higher-ups a while back when Think Geek was going brick and mortar. And he was a district at the time, and I asked him, why go brick and mortar for a store that's been online this entire time? Mm-hmm. And basically his reasoning was, it's not for us, it's for, like, not boomers, but, like, Gen Xers. Like, the people that actually want to go out and touch and feel and, like, get their hands on it. Because I'm in the same boat as you, I prefer digital everything. I'd rather have a drone bring me my stuff as opposed to a human, even now. But yeah, that's, I think they keep it for those people in those specific locations because, one, there's a high concentration of affluent people, and those people with that kind of money tend to like to go and show off, pick something out themselves.
Yeah, that's
the reasoning that I was doing.
Yeah, so I've heard that explanation before, because there are a lot of economical analysts do talk about the viability of brick and mortar stores, and for certain markets it works and for certain ones it doesn't. So at first, the first half I was gonna just bring that up, that does that really work for places like Microsoft Store or ThinkGeek? But then your second half did make sense though, that being in those concentrated areas, it's like, why did a lot of people in Italy die because of the coronavirus? Because there's a shitload. Italy, pound for pound, is one of the oldest average ages ever. So, of course, all the old people are going to fucking die from coronavirus. So that's why they had an exponential amount of deaths versus the U.S. or anybody else. So, yeah. No, that second half does make sense, though. So, I don't know. Josh Mallory, you two are some physical fucks. Do you guys see an argument for brick and mortar versus just buying your stuff online? I know Josh buys a lot of his stuff online, so that's already kind of a loaded question for Josh. But do you guys give a fuck about physical stores? Because you guys do like your physical media, but do you guys care about the actual store section? Do you guys like to go to your Best Buys and your
only if I'm absolutely bored. I mean, I don't... Well, okay, I used to like going to Best Buy until they started just hounding you to apply for their fucking credit cards. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that shit annoys me more. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I like being able to go to a store and look at shit, but I don't know.
So do you guys see the... and the only reason I'm like going to you guys now is because John and I already did our piece on that, but do you guys see that even given the circumstance that John was talking about, how in those certain areas maybe there's a high concentration of people that would want to go to a physical store, do you guys think that 4 stores is really worth keeping alive instead of just nixing it all to...
Not really much, because they're just going to be scattered all over the place. And...
Yeah, Sydney, London, Seattle, and New York. That's so, like,
they really
4 corners of the earth.
Oh, yeah, no, people will fucking go on their pilgrimage to this store.
Right, like, they think it's like the Disneyland effect. Yeah. This is like the Mecca. They're going to be like, ooh, you know what? I'm in Sydney right now. You know what I should check out? The Microsoft store.
Yeah. Also,
yeah, it's weird.
One thing I hate about specialized stores, too, is it kind of defeats the purpose of, like, shopping around.
Right, because you just go there and there's like,
it's nothing but
if I'm not going to buy a Microsoft product, if I don't want their headphones, I don't want their computers, I don't want an Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Why am I here?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is, it's definitely, no, it's weird. I mean, the argument makes sense, but it also doesn't in the spec of, again, it being a very specialized store. Mm-hmm. I think they should have just gone all digital. Maybe they couldn't afford to lay off that last staff. I don't know. But...
Maybe.
So speaking of layoffs, so moving on from that, speaking of layoffs, it's interesting that you brought that up, Mallory, because that's not the only layoffs that happened. In fact, anyone that was a part of the Mixer platform has been laid off because Microsoft, with no warning, just killed off the entire Mixer platform. Was Mixer good? No. It was like Twitch with a bad UI. But people did go there for several reasons. Either because they couldn't really find their footing in Twitch, because Twitch is really oversaturated. And it is harder to get discovered in Twitch. You know what I mean? If you're a YouTuber or a League of Legends player, can you imagine trying to get people to notice you on Twitch?
Right.
There are so many people that do that shit already that you're kind of like, you know... So I feel like for those people who aren't major content creators, maybe they went to Mixer because you had a higher chance of being shown in the algorithm. Because there's only like 1,000 of you, let's say. That's being very exaggerative. But say there's only 1,000 of you. Obviously, 1 in 1,000 versus 1 in 1,000,000 on Twitch. Your chance of being seen on the dashboard was higher. However, now it's not high at all. So to clarify a few things, because there's been a lot of rumors going on, a lot of misunderstandings about the way this happened. It is bad. There's no saving grace. I don't have a silver lining where I'm just like, oh, don't worry, they all got paid out or whatever. Yeah. Some of them did, but not everybody. So here's the other side of the story that people didn't really talk about. Everyone is, even when I logged on today to update the itinerary, a lot of people are talking about the content creators who got fucked over. Not talking about how the Mixer staff themselves also got no warning.
Yeah.
Mixer staff found out about it 1 to 3 hours before we all heard about Mixer dying. They were notified via Twitter, either DM or tweet, about them now being jobless. Some of them, there was a particular lady, I forgot what her name was, but she did talk a little more. She was the one who gave a lot of this shedding light onto it from the staff side of things, where this is how little heads up they all got. First of all, she just got an email like the day prior, less than 24 hours from that, talking about how they were going to plan her 3rd year anniversary as one of Mixer's heads.
Oh,
and they were going to get a hold of her and plan her little party and everything with her staff. Only to less than 24 hours later be told, whatever. However, she did say that she's all right, though. She's being relocated. She hasn't been told to what team. Mm-hmm. But as one of the heads, she's safe and her job is secure. She just has no idea what the job is right now. She even updated her profile as whatever my job is right now is what her new profile status is instead of being head of Mixer, whatever. So she's, of course, a bit sour and cynical about it. She talked about how her fellow staff, no clue. She talked about how they were all not given any forward heads up, so if anyone is suspicious of the Mixer staff being shitty, they weren't shitty about it. They didn't know either.
Yeah.
So there's no way they could have leaked it. Obviously, Microsoft keeping it to the top lips because they didn't want a leak to come out as a big warning, because we all know that, lips move when it comes to hearing about how you're about to get fucked over. Of course, you're going to blab to the world. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the only people that were told were clearly essential personnel, quote unquote. But anyways, they did say they're not... Huh?
Oh. The way you're describing that is... It made me think of something that happened here in Texas. We have that restaurant Jim's and the Frontier Burger. And
right.
Magic Sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
And how... I don't know why this made me think of it, but all the higher-ups kind of knew, and all the workers got a postcard saying they were laid off right before Corona.
Right.
And I was like, what?
So to put it in perspective, the people at gyms got better heads up than the people at Mixer. So let's take that into perspective, because at least the managers at gyms knew. The managers at Mixer didn't even know. So yeah, it's just that extra layer.
I'm just saying, it's still like a real both of those are really shitty ways to tell people.
So why did Mixer just run though?
They didn't really say, but it's probably not profitably viable. So here's the weird thing. So this is what I was going to say. There's more to the Mixer thing, but we'll come back to it. But here's the thing. If they're closing all their stores, except for some reason, and they're closing Mixer, is Microsoft, A, hurting for money? Because they did admit they spent a lot on the Series X. Mm-hmm. Okay? So is Xbox... Xbox is known to be making less money than the Switch or the PS4. With that being the case, is Microsoft in a tighter spot than we think? Mm-hmm. At least in the Xbox division? It's really hard to tell, because you can't tell me that it doesn't look like, by killing 2 other divisions, that it doesn't look like they're scrambling for money right now to funnel into the Xbox. It really does look like... I think Windows will always be fine until there's an OS that really universally kills it. I think Windows will be fine for forever, but I think Xbox actually could be in danger. I think the Series X could be their last Hail Mary pass, because... there's no way that the Series X is about to launch and just a couple of to a few months later, they're killing all these divisions off. It's too close. It's way too close to each other. And I feel like they are hurting for cash, or they realize they need a big push for the Series X. Mm-hmm. So they're probably killing off those. They laid off thousands of people because it really looks like they need to get some third-party support. I bet you Microsoft has built up all this cash. They're going to be like, yo, ArcSys, we need some of that shit here. Yeah. Yo, Konami, or no, not Konami, Capcom, give us some of them exclusives. I feel like that's what it's going to be, because I feel like they're even going to be like, FromSoft, make us a Bloodborne, like an exclusive like Bloodborne. Give us our version of Bloodborne. I feel like you're going to start hearing some wild announcements from Microsoft. They're going to get the anime games. They're going to get their FromSoft games, because I think they've realized now that neglecting it for the last 3 generations, the Japanese market, the Weeb market, has obviously been detrimental to their health. And I feel like that they really are going to go all in. So I'm just calling it right now. Expect a lot of crazy announcements soon of people they've never worked with before, or not usually working with, or keep exclusives away from them, are going to start funneling them some stuff. Because I think that that's what they're doing. But yeah, anyways, that's just all speculation though. So going back to facts with Mixer, Ninja and Shroud, 2 of the biggest content creators on there. I don't know what Shroud does, but Ninja's obviously Fortnite man. They're fine, guys. I know you guys are worried. I know you guys are concerned about their health and well-being. They only have a few $100 million each. But they got their whole contract payout. So Ninja made his whole, like, however many, say they signed him for like 5-7 years. Yeah. He made all that within 10 months. He just got that whole multi-hundred millions of dollars contract in 1/4 of the time. Same with Shroud.
What a guy.
I know. Thank God Ninja saved. But everybody else got the old chorizo. So here's what happened, though. They're not entirely out. So that was the initial story. A lot of people were kind of like, bringing like, oh, all these content creators are fucked. They're not. Well, they are fucked because of the next part I'm about to say. They're not completely out. They're being merged with Facebook Gaming. That's why Mixer's being killed off. Mixer and Facebook Gaming are now in one. And the very noble people at Microsoft met with the very noble people at Zuck Corporation and are now together in harmony in Facebook Gaming. One of the worst gaming platforms I've ever watched. Homie Melanie Mack went there for years, and I unfortunately didn't watch her that much while she was there, because the Facebook Gaming, I don't know if you guys have ever watched a stream on Facebook Gaming. It's awful. The shitty comments in chat of misogynistic, racist shit is just flying off to the side because everyone on Facebook can be in there. And the video quality is just not good as Twitch. Like, even when you're trying to run 720, 1080 on Facebook Gaming, it just buffers a lot or looks really shitty. It's just not optimized. The Facebook doesn't know what they're doing with that thing, but they're absorbing it now. So if you're if you're not sure if you want to go to Facebook Gaming, your options are now either come crawling back to Twitch. If you didn't tell them, fuck you. Because a lot of content creators did that when they left Twitch to go. They ended up, either saying or being very volatile towards Twitch. So a lot of them aren't even welcome back, really. But a lot of people are trying to scramble and get their following back on Twitch, because your only other choices is Facebook Gaming, where Mixer went, or YouTube Gaming, which is also awful. I use Restream because we're not sponsored, so I can stream on as many platforms as I want. And the Facebook, Mixer, and YouTube gaming platforms are all awful. Twitch is really the only one that really... There's a reason they kind of have it monopolized, despite the fact that there are options. Why, I forgot who said it. I forgot if it was on Jimquisition or Casa Super Beast, but they said, wait for Vimeo Gaming to launch, and I kept laughing so hard because Vimeo's already had a hard enough time surviving all these years. Which is a shame, because their quality is fantastic. You just have to pay for it, and that's why no one ever wants to check it out. Because not everyone has the Vimeo app default installed on their shit like YouTube is. But yeah, anyways... Yeah, Ninja and Shroud got their contract buyouts, they're fine. And then all the other content creators either are gone or were given the option to go to Facebook Gaming when they merged. So, yikes. Oh, and here's the problem too, though, is Microsoft didn't auto-move your fan base. So a lot of people, their fans didn't even know what happened to them. So people who don't keep track of all these politics, people who don't listen to Disconnected Cast every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, did not know about this, and because of that, thought the content creator just gave up or poofed out of nowhere. So they're on to the next thing, right? So exactly. So a lot of these content creators just had no people kind of follow over with them, or very minimal, a third of their fan base, half of their fan base, because a lot of people just thought, oh, Mixer's gone, that guy's just gone, that girl's just gone. It sucks. But Very poorly handled. Microsoft, not the first time they've done something like that. Google and Microsoft are both known for executing their programs all the time, but doesn't make it any less shitty. So, all right, Johnny boy, we're going to talk about last. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Segue into that, but before we do, I just wanted to add on to the Microsoft point.
Go ahead.
Do you think that their whole making basically all the things like Gears and Forces theirs and Halo Infinite, making them viable, and that's going to kill the Xbox that led to their death now or potential death now?
John, you're breaking up really bad. I couldn't understand. I heard Halo and then a lot of cut out words.
Okay. Basically, do you think the fact that Microsoft took a lot of its quote-unquote exclusives and made them playable on PC is going to lead to the potential death knell of the Xbox?
Well, yeah, we had this discussion before, and it is a really weird thing. It is hard to tell, but they definitely do seem to be valuing their franchises. They seem to be entertaining the fact that they understand that Xbox could die off. Could be the next Dreamcast one of these days. And because of that, I think that is why they are having their franchises be all cross. Gears, Halo, Forza is all playable on PC now. And I think that they are just patting their butts just in case. I think they don't know if the Xbox is going to be dead this generation or 3 generations from now. But I think they do understand that with the money it's gouging, because Xbox has just not been able to beat Nintendo or PlayStation pretty much since it came out. 360 was its best era because the PS3 launched way too expensive with nothing. Yeah. Xbox launched with a little less cost and a little more games, which is not much. But yeah, I think they're just entertaining the possibility. They're just being business people about it. I think they're just being safe because they realize some money is better than no money. And at that point, right? If you're PC people, because there are a ton of PC people that mind playing some PlayStation or Xbox games on there, so by throwing them in there, there's probably some PC people that were like, I've always wanted to check out Halo, but I just don't give a fuck to buy a console because I'm a PC guy through and through. PC gamer girl, roar. So because of that, they're just like, oh, now that it's on PC, I don't need to get an Xbox. So I think that's all it really was. I think the crossplay between those is really weird because shooters should never be crossplay with PC. But, I know Pat was talking about how Xbox and PlayStation 4 do have keyboard and mouse compatibility with some games, but it isn't all games, and so I still think it's not like the best idea to do because, for example, of the people I know, most people I know own a PS4, and with that being the case, I don't think any of them, the ones I know, use keyboard and mouse to play anything on there. They usually just throw their controller because if they're like, if I'm going to play keyboard and mouse, I'll just be on my fucking PC. Yeah. So, yeah.
I was going to say, I think the few things that are probably giving you some incentive to buy the consoles, like how Game Pass, like the libraries aren't the same.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Otherwise, I don't really see much point with the console nowadays.
So, good question, John, but we'll just have to see over time, but that's just my speculation. What were you going to say about Last of Us 2? Oh, you've been enjoying it more. What do you think? Should I do the slides toward Last of Us first, or do you want to talk about what you've been enjoying about? You know what? I don't want to take you down a notch. Talk about what you've been enjoying about it first, and then I'll go with the grimmer stuff later.
Okay, no, that's perfect. I'll wrap up my piece on the one gripe I have.
Okay. Is there any spoilers? Should we warn right now before you start?
Not really. Okay. I mean, it seems to be par for the course narrative-wise.
Okay, so but I'm gonna a maybe warning. If you really want to be sure, skip the next 3 minutes just to be sure that you're not going to miss, that you don't want to get anything mildly spoiled. But go on, John.
Yeah. Still loving it so far. In fact, I have to give it up to Ashley Johnson. She's a fantastic actress who's really playing the role really well. Mm-hmm. And the story continues on the way it should. Like everything's fucked up. Everyone's fucked up, and everyone does fucked up things in the apocalypse because that's just kind of par for the course. The narrative is really moving. There's a lot of touching scenes that really hit you. Gameplay's fine. I think I touched on this last time. I appreciate the increased platforming. In fact, I had this one part where I really enjoyed the way you were able to take it out because this is semi-spoilery, but not really, because it's not contextual to the story. It's just a set piece, essentially, that you come across.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bar you can go to, and there's a bunch of detectives. And adjacent to that, there's a building that you can scale, and there's a rope time mechanic that they added up really neat, and you get to implement that. And it was cool the way that you're allowed to tackle it. So what I did was I perched up on this ledge where I was inaccessible except by a rope, and they actually can't climb. I blew out one of the windows and basically let them all funnel out and took them out and shoot up that way. So it's little touches like that that make me appreciate the game more so than the first. What else? The subtext is great. Naughty Dog is fantastic at storytelling, and I want to know what Seattle did to them because they've been dogging on that place like nothing else since we get there. What else? Oh yeah. Okay. So the one gripe I have is that it's not even that bad because in the context of the narrative it makes sense. But whenever you're playing as Ellie, there'll be like sudden breaks, almost like how Westworld Season 1 did it, where you'll just go into a memory. And it's slightly game breaking. Like I said, it does make sense in this context of the narrative because you're understanding more how the memory that you play out relates to what's happening in the present. But it happens so often that it's almost a little immersion break. But other than that, that's the one gripe, is that they do it a little too much. Like, I think I'm on my fourth flashback right now.
Yeah, I know. Jim Sterling talked about that the game does this weird thing where you're playing a flashback already, and then the character has a flashback within the flashback. So you're kind of like, why the fuck did they do it this way? Where you're remembering something when you were already in the middle of remembering. So yeah, it seems a little stupid. Flashbackception seems a bit much because they're trying to,
Yeah, exactly.
We'll call that the Druckmann effect. But anyway, so was there anything else before I poo on the game?
Nothing so far. I haven't yet got to the quote-unquote controversial character.
Okay.
Just because I haven't had time. But I will say that all of the hate that's directed towards people who thought that was, which is Abby, is completely misguided and misdirected. And again, if you look at it from the context of the narrative and how the people in this story are, she's not doing anything that everyone's favorite hero Joel has done. In fact, she's a better person than Joel because Joel fucking murder. He tortures people. But that's it. That's all I got so far.
All right. Last of Us 2, everyone's been saying the name wrong, by the way. The Last of Us Part 2. Sorry, Druckmann. Let me say it correctly now on the podcast from now on. It's not Last of Us 2, because that's what a plebeian, some non-education fuck would call it. So, yeah, it's The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us : Part 2. Anyways. Neil Druckmann being a real drama queen about a lot of this stuff. He's the one who said that the word fun shouldn't be used when playing this game. He's the one who made it this high art piece because he's a fucker. He's the one who said the worst day of his life was The Last of Us 2 leaks coming out. Devastating as an auteur, as an absolute legend, a massive, the absolute unit. Neil Druckmann said that was the worst day of his life. He's a bit of a chode. So that aside, though, the one thing that I think a few podcasts I listened to pointed out that was interesting is that an interview section came out, and apparently, spoilers for Last of Us 1, fucking that old game. Apparently, in the original drafting and scripting, Tess was supposed to be the final bad guy. The problem with that is their argument against that was they were just like, that makes no sense. Tess would have to travel way too far to do what she needs to do the final bad thing. So we're going to nix that because that makes no sense in the narrative. Then cue The Last of Us Part 2 later on, and that's what every single person's doing, is traveling an insane, unrealistic Lord of the Rings amount of distance to kill so-and-so and do the thing. And it's just funny how... because Naughty Dog really wanted to just make another game and make money, they just totally reversed gears on what they considered artistic integrity in the first game, and then just do it over and over and over. It's like the whole thing of Last of Us 2 is covering unrealistic distances to get revenge. And that's actually what they said they were trying to avoid in the first part. So I thought that part was kind of funny. That they just literally they're the biggest hypocrites in terms of the premise of the second game. But that happens, I guess. Sometimes you make Ride the Lightning. Sometimes you make Reload. It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is just one of those things where it's just funny how they just totally went against their original statement. But whatever. But yeah, other than that, The Last of Us Part 2 doing really well, financially killing it. So good for them. Was the delay worth it? Probably not. I don't think they made any more money than when it came out than they would have 2 months ago when they delayed it originally. But whatever. Dead by Daylight. This isn't necessarily new news because we talked about. We even had that discussion about obviously we're just wanting a new Silent Hill instead of Pyramid Head just being in Dead by Daylight. But Pat from Gas and Super Beast did mention the fact that they actually did a really good job with it. Pyramid Head's done really well. The actual level that you go, the new stage that's introduced because of Silent Hill is very well done. Lots of Easter eggs, canonical shit happening in there, and just a lot of cool secrets and everything, and just the best Silent Hill entries since like 3 or 4 pretty much in ages in terms of like doing Silent Hill right, even though it's not in a Silent Hill game. Half of me wants to say that's cool. The other half of me is like, fuck you, Konami. Come on, you're showing that it's possible. This other company's doing it better than you. But you just want to make pachinko machines, and that's Silent Hill now. Just pachinko machines. Outer Worlds, or Obsidian, probably going through their Chinese port company, did mention they are going to. I remember talking about how I hope they make a new patch to make Outer Worlds better on Switch. They have said it's very much in the works. They said they have a few tweaks in mind that they can do to make it better. But they said they do admit and see that this is not great, especially given the delay that was already thrown on top of it due to coronavirus. Because their port studio is in China that they were using, and that delayed it. And they said that even for the delay, it should have been more ready, and it just unfortunately wasn't. So they said they'll work on it. Bloodstained had the same issue. They were able to make it better. I still would say that the Switch version of Bloodstained is still probably not as beautiful and amazing as the Steam version, but so much better than launch. And if they can even improve it that much for Outer Worlds, I'll say my $60 was worth it. But until then, definitely inferior port, especially because it's on Xbox Game Pass, and I could have just been playing it on there for the last 6 months. So there's that. But good to hear. Crash 4, we talked about it. We talked about how the next day we mentioned on the podcast when we were recording that the official trailer was going to come out. It's tough to tell whether it was just weird timing that it leaked right before it was officially announced, or if their hand was forced to reveal it a little bit earlier because of that. But either way, it did come out. It's pretty looking. The graphics look nice.
Looks enjoyable.
Funny that they're using a song that was probably relevant when the last Crash game came out, which is Rockefeller Skank.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that they.
Hey man, that makes me buy the game even more.
What's up?
I said that makes me want to buy the game even more. I'm down with that.
I'm sad because it's probably some movie trailer syndrome where it's not even going to be in the game. God damn it! But if it is,
I know, right?
For me, the only thing I can the humor seems nice and silly. It seems like it's, on there. The line that I think everyone probably chuckled at was the little, how many times have you beat this guy line? And it's 3. Really? It's like more than that. That shit was really funny. They seem like they got their ducks in order. The only thing that they need to fix, because since the Crash Collection was a straight port, the camera and controls in the original Crash Bandicoot games are atrocious and did not age well. That's some justified for PS1 stuff, but not in 2020. So when it drops on October 2nd, I see it really hard for them to fuck up, but the controls. If they can modernize the controls a bit better, fix that camera, I think it has a lot of potential. Hey, and if Crash can successfully be back, if this is a great game and it does gangbuster numbers and we're ready for an annual or biannual, or semi every few years Crash Bandicoot, I'm cool for him to be back. I like Crash. Coco's cute, furriness. Neocortex is an idiot, but he's that good villain, the idiot villain that's like smart but not really. Just good shit. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy getting a new Crash Bandicoot, new Ratchet and Clank.
It's weird, man. What year is it? There's no new Jak and Daxter and no new Spyro yet, because Spyro just became Skylanders for a while. That's the only thing Spyro was really a part of. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that was pretty blanket statement on most things I would expect. Is there anything else you guys would like to see in the game? Modes or characters or anything? I
don't know. Just really hoping that it plays well.
Yeah, for sure. Because if it doesn't,
it'd be cool if there was a. Oh, right.
Oh no! I just sorry, I was just trailing off. I was just gonna say that the controls is basically everything weighs in on that almost. Yeah.
I was gonna say no, for sure, especially the camera.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it'd be cool if we had like a little mini go-kart section. Not just ETR.
Yeah, CTR is not a good enough game to be standalone. So yeah, I think having it like as a sub mode or inclusive of the game would be much better than a new CTR. The problem with a lot of these, one of the best Mario Kart likes I've ever played is probably Sonic All-Star Transformation Racing. That shit was great. Because hell, Mario Kart,
good.
Yeah, and Mario Kart even kind of took a page from it when they had the transforming shit in the later Mario Kart game. So yeah, and I kind of learned off of each other. It was the most competent one anyways. I think the problem with CTR and a few of the other Sonic, not the later Sonic one and everything that just wasn't as great, is the fact that they all just tried to be too much like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was always Diddy Kong Racing. I never played cars back in the day, but I fucked with Diddy Kong hard.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a thing, too. Yeah, that was a hot trend for a while, but we'll see. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 comes out July 10th. For those of you who played that, it was originally a Kickstarter incentive you got that if you kickstarted Bloodstained. And so now they're doing a sequel for it because people liked it so much. If you think Bloodstained is Castlevania-like, fucking Curse of the Moon is basically just another Castlevania game. So good stuff. Good. It deserves more. And if Curse of the Moon 2 does good, maybe we'll get a Bloodstained 2, and that'll be nice also, because Bloodstained got some really awesome... I think the people that bitch about the very anime-ish part about it is just get over it. It isn't Castlevania, but it is the best thing we're going to get, so get over the graphics. I think it looks fine.
It's a great game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun.
There's a new Metal Slug coming out, and it's actually by the same studio that's doing Pokemon Unite. Now, I don't know if Tencent has a stake in the Metal Slug game as well, but I believe it's like called Codename J or Code J or whatever. It's just a tentative name, but Metal Slug is a fantastic series, so I'm happy for more Metal Slug. While we're on the topic of Pokemon Unite, for those of you who don't know what that is, because it's very vague in the trailer, but it's going to be a MOBA. It's going to be your League of Legends style, but with Pokemons. I think it could be cool, but with Tencent involved, Microtransaction City is what I'm very worried about.
Yeah.
If it's a true free-to-play game and the only things to buy are your skins or something, maybe the only thing you really buy is a shiny version of Pikachu or something. Yeah. That's whatever, because that's all completely optional. But if it's like, oh, you need to buy the Charizard champion, and he's the most OP champ you can get, and it's just like, well, fuck this then. There's no point in playing the free game because of that. So we'll see. My opinion of MOBAs has always been they're fun. It's just communities are always toxic, whether it's Overwatch or League of Legends. Great games with friends, not the best with strangers. I have a feeling Pokemon Unite's gonna pull a lot of that same fan base of MOBA players, and if that's the case, I'll just hope to play with you guys. But other than that, yeah, I hope it's good. More Pokemon franchises are always promising as long as it's good. I don't know if any of you guys fired up Pokemon Cafe Mix, the brand new Pokemon game. Free came out. I don't like the fact that it forces you to use the Switch touchscreen. The Switch touchscreen is fine, it functions, but just touching my screen always feels bleh. Especially when you have physical buttons right there.
It's like, give me a stylus at least.
Yeah, exactly.
But
nope. Have either of you...
Does a 3DS stylus work with the Switch by chance?
The pressure sensitivity, it doesn't work well. It'll work, but it doesn't work well.
Sad.
Did either of you two on the remote call play Pokemon Cafe Mix?
Negative. I haven't heard of it.
Oh, okay. Now?
Only because I checked it out, but I didn't like the idea of having to touch my screen.
Okay, yeah, I didn't like that either.
So I got turned off to that, instantly. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
it's just a weird function I don't want to use yet.
Yeah, it's a competent puzzle game. I mean, it works, but again, it's just the touching the screen part really is more of a deal breaker than one would think.
Mhm.
Like, if you haven't played it and you're hearing someone say that, it sounds weird. Like, what's the problem? It comes with a touchscreen, but it's just like, no. My screen is so clean.
Yeah, it's like you get it dirty. Even though I have a screen protector on mine, it still gets dirty, and it gets noticeably dirty. And it's like, oh, well, let me just wipe this down, like, every
microfiber cloth.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we talked about Unite. There's a new East game, but who cares? So that Marvel Avengers,
The Yeast game.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. There's like a million of them. They're fine games, but I mean like they're not, whatever. Whenever I play them, I just think I could be playing Final Fantasy. But anyways, Marvel Avengers, if you buy it, you get the next gen upgrade free. Good for them. MODOK's going to be in it. Okay. I mean, the Marvel's Avenger game still looks like shit, so I don't know why everyone's so hyped about that. I know it's because it's Avengers or whatever, but I'm kind of 4 years tired of Avengers already, so I kind of don't care about anything Avengers anymore. Cyberpunk 2077 is getting an anime adaptation on Netflix by Studio Trigger, who does Kill la Kill and a bunch of other good animes. So good on them.
What was their most recent one? Wasn't it Promare? Did they do that?
Promare, yeah, they did Promare also.
Still need to watch that.
It's pretty good. It's on digital platforms now, so unless you just buy the DVD, actually, the Blu-ray rather.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, former Sony exec has been pretty vocal lately. He mentioned a few things about the AAA industry, which I find a little hypocritical. I feel like he's only saying these things because he's not an exec anymore. I feel like if he was still working for Sony, he'd be pushing all the bullshit he's anti.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main things he's talking about is how they should be doing stuff like the games are getting way too expensive and not becoming viable for gamers anymore, especially if the consoles are going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how games should maybe be shorter, but also cheaper. That way gamers get more bang for your buck. Maybe have, instead of an 80-hour game, maybe have like a 30-hour game, but it's only $30 and kind of like do something like that.
I definitely agree they should be cheaper.
Exactly. He talks about how the way AAA games are going right now, it's just unsustainable because he talks about how back in the day, your AAA game would come out maybe one new game every month.
Mm-hmm.
Your AAA games. But now with 3, 4, 5, 8 AAA games coming out in 1 month sometimes, that's $60 a pop. He's like, what fucking gamer is going to be buying like all this fucking games?
Yeah, it's like you have to spread them out.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah.
I mean, there's games from like 2018 that I still haven't got to. Either I bought it and haven't got to it, or just haven't even bought it yet, because I'm still trying to catch up.
Yeah. Definitely something has to change.
For sure. It's a shame greed is the thing that's definitely fighting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, good points. I just kind of find it kind of funny that he's saying that, because that's easy to say when you don't work for Sony anymore. I'm fairly sure if he was still working for Sony, he'd be like, no, $60 is cheap compared to what we spent.
Well, I mean, it's like the guy who fucking exposed the lies that the healthcare industry does. Like, he's no longer working for them. Like, what does it matter to him?
Exactly. But if you're still working for them, you'd probably be like...
Yeah, and he doesn't have to pay for the consequences now. He spent, like, how many years of his life...
It's like the Legend of Korra thing, where they threw... When they had Korra and Asami be gay in the last episode, but... When it
wasn't on TV anymore.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do? Cancel?
Yeah.
Cancel us?
It's like, oh, well, we're going to play it online, where our viewership isn't as big.
Yep.
And guess what, guys? It's safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah. And going into our final topic, the ever stupid, ever controversial for no reason, Dr. Disrespect. Banned again, but this time, he's been banned multiple times from Twitch, but it seems like this time it's apparently permanent. Here's the weird thing. He says he doesn't know why. His wife, okay, I was going to make a really bad joke, but his wife, who's very supportive of him, despite the fact that he might be shitty towards her, because she was quiet for a while. She wouldn't even speak up before, but she's even spoken up and be like, he didn't deserve it, whatever it was. He's also like, I don't know what I got banned for. Twitch refuses to comment.
Oh.
So here's the weird thing. At the same time that Dr. Disrespect got banned, Twitch also dropped a statement about how sexual harassment, using your status, like, hey, I'm fucking ninja, suck my dick, girl. Like, using your status to invoke sexual favors from your fandom will get you permanently banned from Twitch if you are caught doing, flexing your clout. So it's weird that they dropped an announcement at the same time that Dr. Disrespect gets banned. However, Dr. Disrespect swears, and apparently some insiders who are so inside they don't know why he got banned, claim that he wasn't. It's not because of that. It's something, but it's not because of that. But it is weird that at the same time Twitch drops this, don't do that, at the same time that Dr. Disrespect gets banned. But apparently it's unrelated, but we don't know why. Now, here's the problem with Dr. Disrespect is he's... One, I've never found him entertaining. He's just this weird porn stash guy that's just volatile, very
Isn't all
controversial.
that just a costume, too?
It is a costume, very volatile, says a lot of ridiculously controversial things for attention, you know. He's the type of guy who, even if he wouldn't believe in All Lives Matter, would probably say it just to invoke a response. He's that kind of comedian or entertainer. But to be when you've been banned this many times, to be permanently banned, it's either because you struck out so many times, or you must have done something really shitty. He must have said something which he claims probably wasn't that bad, but I mean, yeah, probably. I don't know. But despite him being guilty of not being funny, he was also the same person who was like, I can't believe Ninja's such a shill. Like, if Mixer had offered me that much, I wouldn't have gone. It's like, that's easy to say.
Yeah.
That's easy
to say.
That's like me. That's like me making fun of Castle Super B sponsors and being like, if Manscaped wanted to sponsor us, I'd say no. It's like, that's easy to say because no one's offering you anything. So anyways, he says a lot of dumb shit for dumb shit's sake. But yeah, I find it really... I mean, none of us really watch or check out Dr. Disrespect. We don't really know him. We only really know him every time he is a piece of shit and ends up in the news.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's from what I've gathered, because I do know somebody who does watch him. He seems to be like a real again. He's this angry. He's supposed to be the entertaining thing is he's angry. You know. Yeah. He says it how he's like the Ben Shapiro of fucking Twitch. You know what I mean? He just says it how it is. He calls people out for what it is, but. I don't know. I remember at one point he was my friend was telling me that because my friend found it humorous. I wasn't sure if it was very humorous, but he was basically calling out people who were like, I don't know, they were doing some shit against streamers, but it seemed like they were doing against shitty streamers, but then they tried to turn it into like they're the victim thing.
And I don't know. When I hear about him and when I see stuff, he just kind of reminds me of those people... I'm going to assume he's probably a piece of shit in real life, but I have a feeling he probably has a fan base where they're like, no, it's just a persona, kind of like, low tier god, where they say, they're just, it's a persona, they're just acting like the villains. Like, no, they're being a piece of shit, and you're, when you're supporting that, you're cultivating that toxicity.
Exactly.
So, fuck that shit.
That's the thing, when I was an edgy high schooler and everything, and I would say things because... Look at me, I'm saying this. It's crazy that I'm saying this. Society doesn't believe in what I'm saying. But guess what? I was still being a shitty person back then. Even if I was saying it as a joke, even if I was saying it ironically, the act of doing it, even if it's your persona or even if it's a joke, can still invoke ill intent and have bad consequences. Yeah. So, point being, regardless of if it's just your persona or not, you kind of brought this ban upon yourself. Even if this ban was over something that wasn't as bad as your past bans, the fact that you've been banned so many times, what does that fucking tell you? Yeah. It means stop.
Wonder if people are blaming it on, woke cancel culture.
Yeah, they could be blaming it on that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're blaming it on that, or the common defense I see a lot is everyone's too soft nowadays, everyone's a snowflake, and, saying the N-word should be hilarious and all that stuff, and it's one of those things where it's just like, that kind of galaxy brain take where people are just like, you're just so sensitive now, we used to be able to make fun of race and religion, and it wasn't offensive back then, back in 1950 when we would spray people with water hoses, that wasn't offensive back then. And it's just like,
yeah, I mean, shit, maybe if people weren't being killed or having their rights taken away because of these jokes, maybe it would be okay, but
it's that mentality that this one person I know, I'm not going to call them out by name, but when they would be like, their grandparents were really racist, and they would always defend their grandparents and be like, they're not racist, they're from a different time.
Yeah, the time where racism was the
was
norm.
Acceptable, yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? That's still racism.
Exactly. So it's that kind of thing. I don't mean to make this a soapbox at the end here, guys. It's just one of those things where it is what it is. Dr. Disrespect is a bastard, and he may have just finally got his due diligence. See on Facebook gaming streaming or YouTube, wherever you decide to be next, assuming they allow you on there, depending on what you ended up doing once it's finally revealed, if Twitch will ever reveal what it is. It's also really worrisome, right? Twitch talks very publicly about a lot of bans, whether it's pedophilia, racism, or whatever. So the fact that they usually talk about stuff like that pretty openly and they won't reveal what he did this time, they're either playing it up really bad or he must have done something really fucked.
Yeah.
But we'll find out in due time. And when we do, we will report it on here. Anyone else have any final comments on Dr. Disrespect, Mal, John?
No, I don't know. All I know is sick bait that I randomly found that out. I was like, cool, but I don't know anything about him. He seems like a douchebag. He seems like if Al Bundy had a son nowadays, that's who Dr. Disrespect would be.
I could see
For those
that.
of you alive who know who Al Bundy is. Yeah.
All right. Mal, do you want to marry Dr. Disrespect?
No. I don't know who he is. I've never watched him or listened to him ever because he's not on my radar at all as somebody I'd watch.
If we could all meet up, I'd probably do a cringe react video with y'all and watching his stuff, but sadly, by the time we can all meet up again, he'll probably be on another platform already, ruining that platform, so...
I mean, he just seems like a big old douchebag.
Douche is a very good way to describe him. Dr. Douche Respect.
Like, I don't follow him at all. I don't know who he is.
Good.
Don't be a douchebag, dude. Like,
yeah. Exactly.
Stop it.
There you go. And speaking of stopping it, that's it for this week. We will catch you guys every Monday, unless it's delayed, or otherwise, or canceled. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see ya.
Kamsahamnida.